Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Ant the Dude here with a playthrough and a little behind the scenes on General Warfare, a card game. This is a game that I made through GB Studio, and it's centered around the card game War, but it gives a little twist, and we'll explain those here as we get into the intro. So, of course, if you match numbers in this game, you'll get into a war. So in this game, it's going to be a side-scrolling shoot 'em up type adventure where if you win that, you basically have defeated your opponent. So that's what Big Sarge is explaining here, is combat power, the number of your card is the primary way to win. But I added in some other aspects here. You could kind of call those the suits of the cards, but there's basically attack class, air, land, sea, and space. If those match up, you'll have a short mini game, as well as the ranks, which are sergeant major, warrant officer, captain, and colonel. So you're trying to become a general here, a 4-star general. If you match ranks, you'll get into a shootout. If you match attack classes, you basically get into a little mini game where you can do like a double or nothing situation. So the attack class is there at the end. As you move up, you can tailor your deck towards combat strength or doing the mini games. So these are the main characters, of course, representing Army, Navy, Air Force, and the newly formed Space Force. So on this screen, you're just kind of meeting your opponents. Each one goes up in rank, starting at 1-star general, moving up to 4-star general. So the first guy is pretty easy, old General Smegelsdorf. Some of these names are kind of tongue-in-cheek from when I was in the military. They had some less savory names, but this is pretty much rated G. So as we get into the game here, pretty fast-paced, but you can see we already match cards, and that's really a good way to win kind of quickly. So here you see we're doing the army thing with some tanks and other obstacles. And at the end, it's going to tally up the damage that you get. So some things you already missed in this one is the shootout and the radar range, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But the shootout is basically a small arms range that you can see in the trailer. And the radar game is kind of find the enemy base. It's pretty easy. But coming up to the next guy, he's a Navy SEAL, so things are going to get pretty hard. Get into multiple wars with this guy, and I didn't do that well. Admittedly, I was using a Delta emulator to capture this. I wanted to try it out, so that was messing up the controls a little bit as far as the war scenes with this admiral. So this guy actually takes a while. He gets pretty tough because I was having some troubles with the controls, but right there you saw a radar scene where I lost all my wins, and now we'll get into a shootout. So I was really focused on my art for this game. Did a summary in a battleship, kind of looking at an example, and we'll see those two in action here quite a few times as we go through trying to do a shootout with this Navy SEAL. So don't forget to shoot. If you win a shootout, basically you can erase your opponent's wins. It doesn't give you a victory, but it takes away their wins, and it puts you at an advantage. So picking the brute deck or the tactical deck will get you onto different paths. So the brute deck, which is available for the first time in this iteration, will give you higher level cards which keep up with the generals. So the generals get higher in strength as you go up. Each one, basically, the lowest cards they can throw go up. So as you go up the ranks here, like the second general, his lowest card is really going to be a 4, or the admiral, excuse me. Don't want to offend any Navy people. His lowest card will be a 4, so picking brute deck will ensure that you keep up with that increase in strength. So it's a little behind the scenes information there. The tactical will give you more of a chance to match your attack class or your rank, which will put you into more of these mini games. So if you want to want to take your bets that way, you can pick the tactical deck. So as you see, I lost a war there while I was talking. I was having trouble with the controls, like I said. But we got a little speedboat for the Navy SEAL. Somehow he's firing torpedoes off of there. Don't ask questions. This is a video game. But yeah, that one was pretty tough for me. So you'll see I have to do it a couple times. Alright, so as I said, we're going to speed through this part a little bit because I was having real troubles with the controls. So I'll talk a little bit about myself and some of the inspiration for this game. So I was in the United States Army and attended the military academy at West Point. So, of course, the Navy guy is going to give me a bunch of trouble in this game. So that just follows suit for me. But got a lot of respect for all the armed services, and pretty much my whole family was in the military. So as this game idea came forth, basically I learned how to do tile switching in GB Studio, and I thought, I should just try my skills at making a card game and see where that goes. I thought it might be a side quest to a different game. I wasn't really sure how I was going to use it, but I started working on it, started getting some of the art, just the card and the guy holding the card, and started getting the tiles switching for the numbers just to see if it worked, that was successful. So I said, well, maybe I'll just continue going with it for the different suits and different symbols that I can come up with that would work for the game. I had no concept of the game yet, but I was also previously working on a first-person shooter game, which was basically a point-and-click type of game, or type of scene out of GB Studio, which is what was used here for these shooting portions. And I just thought, well, I have a shooting idea, first-person shooter kind of idea, and a card game, and then the idea just came on me. The war card game just kind of came on me, and with my background in the military, I thought it would be cool to really play this out. So that's some of the background to the game and how I came up with it. Alright, so the moment you've all been waiting for, I finally will defeat Rear Admiral Snuffy here by a slim margin. So we move on to the Air Force guy. That's Lieutenant General Fuscarelli. I was trying to make up some kind of funny names, as I was saying earlier. So this guy's a hotshot pilot of the Air Force. So in case you didn't see during the shootout, in the war scene, you can take damage by being hit by projectiles or crashing into the other vehicles that will cause you damage. So that's why I was having such an issue with the previous level. But anyway, this is a shoot 'em up scene for the B-2 stealth bomber. It's just a point and click scene in GB Studio where I programmed to have the targets move around and a kind of a blank actor was shooting projectiles for me here. So it's really a point and click. You get credit for putting these crosshairs over top of the targets. So it's basically a on interact script that we have in there to make it look like they're being hit by a missile. So that was a lot of fun, kind of adapting that to each branch of service. Another radar mission here, so I'll explain about those a little bit. It's really a random location for the enemy to be kind of hidden on this little screen. So it's really just kind of a random choice that will give you a double or nothing situation if you do happen to find them. So in the last 3 levels, you'll be pretty much guessing, but in the first level it'll show you the square you need to find, and pretty much get to that square and get the points pretty much automatically if you do it within the time period. So these ones are pretty much a guess, because on the right hand side there's no number shown for you. So a little bit of a double or nothing. Every once in a while it hits if you play enough times. So the other aircraft we have here is a F-22 Raptor. So this one's a little different, a little more fast paced than the bomber, but you're pretty much in an air battle trying to defeat your enemy here. So as I said, this is a point and click scene in GB Studio. If you wanted to work up something like this, there's basically a variable that sets these actors' positions, and it's a random generation of the numbers, and it will set their positions and a subsequent movement. So you can do it that way. It'll set a random number every second, something however you want it really, and it'll move these actors around. And then you can also do a move relative to have them look like they're moving. So in that case, I kicked his butt, got 39 hits. Alright, this is another random guess. Bet you I'm gonna miss. This one's pretty tough, but when you do hit it, you get quite a lot of value out of it. And keep in mind, it's after a loss as well, so it's really checking first to see if you lost. You can't win and then lose your wins after that through this. So even on the last one, if you get into a radar type of situation, you actually can double your wins if you get them correct. So a lot of shootouts with the Air Force guides. There's many different ways to play. Like, really the easiest way to win is to win your wars, because in theory you could get that on the first few hands and win the war, and you'd be able to move on. So it's just kind of different ways to play, or you can grind it out. The one other way to win, which I don't think I explained yet, is you can get up to 14 wins just by having the higher numbers 14 times. So that's the other way you can move on. So here we go. We got a war. So in this side scroller, something I introduced is I gave him a little, basically a boost for the aircraft if you hit the right button. So I was trying to depict that there with the right arrow key to see, or to show the player that they can zoom ahead if they need to. So that's kind of helpful here. So when I played through that, I thought I lost, but the numbers say otherwise. So we're on our last general here. This guy's a 4-star in charge of the Space Command. Probably my favorite war scene, just by the speed of it and the way it moves. There's something about it. So you get to see that pretty much right away. He does have shootout and radar scenes, which you can try and play in the link below. But it's just something about this war scene that I like the best. It just seems the most crisp, and maybe it's the player speed that I increased here since it's a spaceship that makes it cool. So really, I kind of got lucky on general number 4 here. Hit war on the third hand. Alright, so we made it to 4-star. 4-star general. Big Sarge has news for us, though. So I wanted to throw a little twist in the game, something people weren't thinking about. As you know, the president is obviously the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, so wanted to throw in this last rank here that can only pretty much be granted by the president. So General of the Armies, or 5-star general, was not typically awarded in the military, only really during World War II and a couple other occasions, but just something cool I wanted to throw in here. So this, in case you didn't see it, this is just pure numbers here that are going to come up. And I hit nuclear war right away. So when I was researching the game, there's this thing called the nuclear football that the president handles, or his aide handles, and it has these codes that he has to memorize in case of nuclear war, and they change every day. So in this case, those are a bunch of random numbers, and picking it is pretty much random. So if you made it this far, good for you. You've uncovered the fact that the numbers are random. So that's pretty much General Warfare, the card game. Really appreciate it.